I'd like to focus on the Benghazi Accountability Review Board, and I think the administration likes to characterize that as an independent board. But was that our board really independent? Because the Secretary of State selected 4 of the 5 members. The chairman of the board, Ambassador Pickering, has told congressional staff that you asked him for recommendations as to who else might serve with him on the board. Is that correct? You asked Ambassador Pickering for his recommendations as to who else might serve on the ARB board?
That is correct, sir.
There's also been reports that you played a role in selecting and assigning those department employees who staffed the board and assisted with its investigation. Did you, in fact, supervise the assignment of State employees to assist?
I had absolutely nothing to do with the assignment of staff to the board, sir. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I thank you. But here is a concern that we have in terms of the way it was staffed. A well-conducted investigation demands that there be sensible limitations on who can serve as an investigator. And the Benghazi ARB members and staff had too many ties, very close working relationships with those officials that they were charged with investigating. Consider, I think, these points. The Assistant Secretary for Near Eastern Affairs, Elizabeth Jones, not only worked with Ambassador Pickering at the State Department, but also served with him on 2 nonprofit boards. The ARB's lead staffer, also known as the ARB's Executive Director, had previously served as Chief of Staff to Deputy Secretary William Burns and had worked closely with a number of other senior department officials. These relationships can affect impartiality, and many State Department employees, including some who have testified before this Congress, have questioned the ARB's ability and willingness to conduct a truly unbiased investigation. That goes to the question of whether this really was an independent report. And the other aspect of this that is concerning is the way it has been packaged as independent. I think that in light of these facts, it is important going forward, given the Department's lack of accountability, that we change the procedure for the ARB so that, in fact, we have independent voices on it. Otherwise, you undermine the credible claims of independence, and you create an environment that is too clubby. And I think that the legislation that we have put forward will change that. I wanted your observation, support, or opposition to the measure that we're proposing in order to change the way in which ARB boards are conducted in the future.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that this was an independent investigation. If one reads, as I know you have, the very, very hard-hitting and very, very critical comments of the Accountability Review Board, as you noted in your opening statement, it is hard for me to accept the fact that the board was stacked as a State Department favorable board when they rendered the very, very critical opinions that they did read. 3 members of the board, Mr. Chairman, had no relationship at all with the State Department. All the members of the board had decades of experience working for both Republican and Democratic presidents over the period of time. It is impossible, I believe, to find someone with State Department senior expertise who could be a member of the board with the gravity, and someone with many years of experience and who is retired, who had not worked with people at the
could I interrupt you
State Department.
just for a minute here?
Certainly,
I mean,
sir.
this is, we're here today because at the end of the day, no one is held accountable. And so that's contradictory to the thesis that you're advancing here. No one is held accountable.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully disagree about the subject of accountability. 4 employees of the State Department were relieved of their senior positions as Assistant Secretaries or Deputy Assistant Secretaries of State and are no longer holding those senior positions. I submit respectfully, Mr. Chairman, that accountability includes being relieved from your job and assigned to other positions. To me, that is serious accountability.
Well, the reassignment, no one missed a paycheck, all right? No one has been held accountable, and the board did not take this to the upper levels of management, where clearly, for those who are observing from the outside, many of these decisions were made. And indeed, that's why we're here, is in order to try to change a system in which you have a hand in suggesting who does the investigation. It would be far wiser, and this is one of the most frustrating parts about dealing with this State Department. You went 4 years without the appointment internally of an investigator that would take on this responsibility. And in this process, we go through an ARB process in which you choose who's going to do the investigation. Afterwards, you move people from one position to another. They're on the paycheck, they're on the clock, whether they're working or not, through all of this. And there's no accountability in the process from our perspective in it. The idea that no one is held accountable at the end of the day is the problem, and reassignment just doesn't cut it in terms of addressing that issue. We're going to go to Mr. Engel.